Love it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bowtie Security Guy After Dark. I think it's episode 32, but I really don't know. With me today is my buddy Rich Greene. Rich, I wanted to have you kind of come hang out on the podcast just because I like your style. I like the stuff that you post on social, and I just think you're an all-around cool guy. Um,
Aw.
Tell us a little bit about kind of your childhood, kind of how you got into technology, and then we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Oh man, you gotta love these ones. First off, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I also love your style, as you and I have discussed in tons. And I love that you and I were talking about colors yesterday. I'm not sure when this will air, but whenever it was, my
Yeah.
color scheme is similar to your color scheme.
Yeah. I just did
Um,
the whole rebranding too because I realized my color schemes didn't jive with my logo. So then like I got really inspired by people like you and others who have like a really kind of tight color scheme. And I spent way too long obsessing over it, but I think it turned out nice. I'm pretty
I
stoked
love it.
about it.
Back to like my childhood. I wasn't the cool story when you read about kids hacking their colleges and changing grades and like breaking the NSA and like war games or not launching nuclear war or anything like that. I got my first start on hardware first. I remember, and this might go back, right? I remember my mom bringing home an E-Machines computer.
Yeah, they
Was
had
the
the
first,
turbo button, which is
yeah.
impressive.
First thing she brought in the house, right? I don't remember how old I was, but I remember like playing on there. I remember getting the AOL discs, joining, the BBSs and just like falling into that digital connected world, right? Because before that,
Yeah.
it was me and my friends running around barefoot, jumping bikes and playing sports and in the playground just doing, typical kid stuff. But then that world came and then I got into AOL and the instant messenger chat rooms and AIM and ASL and that whole crazy world of
Did you ever play with like the punters and the all the little AOL script kiddie stuff? That was like my that was my literal favorite. It was I will say my claim to fame, which is a very small claim to fame, is I'm fairly certain the warning that you got on chat windows for AOL that nobody will ask you for your password is due to my friends and I. Um, we had compromised a TOS account, which was at the time was one of the high level security accounts at AOL. And
Mhm.
we did it by messaging them as a fake account, and they gave us their password, and we gained access to it. And then the following day, when we tried the same attack, or it was like probably about maybe a week later, we tried the same attack. And all of a sudden, there's this big red warning that pops up. And he's like, well, I'm getting a warning that says I shouldn't give you my password. I don't think this is legit. And I was like, wait, what warning? When did this start? But for like maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15. We were gods on the internet because we had full we had full admin power. We we were what like 15 or 16, and we're like someone talked smack, and we're like kick. Boot, shut that down. It was amazing. What,
Oh,
who knows what we actually had access to, but all we cared about were booting trolls.
the important
Sorry.
things, right? It's the
Yeah,
important things.
I got
And that was my
totally
thing.
derailed. Yeah.
That no, it honestly goes right in turn, right? Because for me, people had things that I wanted and I didn't have them, right? And I found out really quickly, especially in the digital world, it was my
Yeah.
first foray into social engineering because I quickly learned that Rich could become Rachel and get people to do a lot more things for
Oh
her than
my
they
God.
would for me.
It's amazing what a female avatar can get you in the hacking world. It is obscene. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So that was my first foray. And then it was just getting information, just getting people to do things that I wanted them to do because I couldn't do it, right? And then it slowly transpired as things got further along, gift cards, money orders. I was able to find ways to acquire things that I wanted via digital personification of dear old Rachel. And then from there, I kind of gravitated, right? I really got excited into that one. And then Rich Greene found himself on the opposite side of the railroad tracks, like on the legal side. And
Yeah.
I went down a really, really dark path, not even on the digital side of things, but more just like in life in general.
Yeah.
And I was your very typical, hey, you got a couple options here. And by a couple options, you can go to jail, or
Yep.
you can join the military. Um, and I joined the military. That was really kind of my overall
Yeah.
choice. I won't say I wanted to, but I felt like I was too pretty for jail. So I was like, I can't go to jail. I'm gonna do something different, right?
That makes sense.
So I joined the military. Again, nothing cyber related in my earlier career. When I first joined the Army, way back when, I was a 31 Romeo, which is a multi-channel transmissions systems
Yeah.
operator and maintainer. I was a signals guy. I was a
Voice
combo
and
kid, right?
signals guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So
I mean,
that was
that's a
kind of what I did.
critical job, though. Like, I love how
Yes.
you're just like, oh, I was a signals guy. Yeah, literally, communication stops, people die, right? Like,
Yeah, very true.
it's
Very
so
true.
incredibly important. But
And
so how long were you a signals guy for?
so for quite a while actually. From 2002 through, let's see, I was 31 Romeo through my first two deployments. Then we transitioned to the 25 series. I deployed again, and then I went to SFAS, which is Special Forces Assessment Selection, because I was like, I think I can be Rambo. So I went to SFAS, got selected, went to SFQC, Special Forces Qualification Course, made it through that, and then I remember the process. I was going through, and they're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was like, "I want to be an 18 Delta, which is a medical sergeant." I was like, "I want to
Yeah,
cut people open and do cool things." Um,
yeah.
they're like, "But you were a combo guy," and I'm like, "No, no, yeah, I did that. I did that. I want to be this guy." And they're like,
It,
"But you were a combo guy." So
I
I became an
can't
18 Echo.
I always tell people you want me in a role that I have no idea what I'm doing and I don't belong because I'm going to get obsessed, right? I went through a role an interview at HackerOne and the lady goes, "Look, I would love to hire you for literally any other job, but you have no experience doing this." And I said, "Look, I feel for you. I get it. I agree with you. I have no experience, but I will tell you right now, in 6 months, I'll be better than whoever else you were going to hire."
Yeah.
And I was like, I just need that opportunity. And they're like, I would love to. But it's so funny because you get pigeonholed, right? And it
Mhm.
happens in the military, it happens in technology too. It's like, well, you're a cloud guy. It's like, well, I don't want to be a cloud guy anymore. I would like to do something else if that's okay. Um, so you did that, and then you completely crushed it in Special
Yes,
Forces, doing comms and stuff there too, which is awesome. And
I did
then
enjoy it.
when you got out, what was your first gig? Did you go directly into public, or did you stay in the government sector for a bit?
So it's kind of interesting. And it really we have to rewind the tape a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, when I when I made it to SF, I was an 18 Echo, and I was like, this is cool. But for me, and I think you're very similar, right? You're like you're always thinking, how can I be better? What can I
Always.
do to be
Yeah,
better and to grow? Um, and when it goes to SF, there's really like two paths you can follow when you hit into SF world. You can either be a gun bunny, just live at the range and love shooting things, nothing against them, rock for it. Or you can go the intelligence side. I
yeah,
gravitated towards the intelligence side. Um,
yeah.
and that was really kind of when I started getting my first foray into the cyber domain. Um,
Nice.
because I was working primarily on human intelligence, right? Doing some really, really cool stuff. And eventually I'm going to go to jail for talking on podcasts about things that I did. But I was working
You
with
just
like
speak high
human.
level. We've
Yeah,
all signed so many NDAs, like we just
exactly.
speak like we're like spies. I did
And
this
we all
thing.
know that it's the TTPs we can't talk about, right? Um,
100%.
I got involved in, spotting, assessing, training, running human assets. And
Hmm.
it's not the Cold War anymore. So we weren't doing chalk marks on alleyways
Right.
your typical dead drops. It was, hey, how do we continue the mission using the digital cyberspace, the digital terrain?
Yeah.
So that's where I got my first start in that aspect of it. And then that
Like
kind of dovetailed.
leaving like digital breadcrumbs and things that people could follow. So
Yeah,
the digital component of what was
yeah,
previously like a chalk mark
exactly.
or a mark on a sign. That's cool.
No, super awesome.
I won't dig in because I know I can't. But no, and I think that's really interesting because a lot of people don't realize there are so many aspects of every role that has little niches in cyber. You can almost always kind of find something. So you get into this, creating digital breadcrumbs. And then where did it go from there? Like, how long were you doing that for? Because that's a cool gig.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
I ran that up until almost the last 2 years of my career in the Army, because then it went from I've been all over the kind of place, and I tell a lot of people every time I teach my class Sec 301, I'm like, look, uh, it's going to be an interesting ride for you because I didn't grow up like a typical cyber kid, right? I was never a
No.
sysadmin, net admin. I never did
Right.
database work. I was never help desk, never IT support, right? I never held those roles. But where I transitioned to after my cool human digital world, tradecraft side, was in close target access and Wi-Fi Bluetooth exploitation, right? I'm a Green Beret. I have access and placement to places that people don't. We want access to places that people don't. Rich, go into that muddy area where that cartel is. We need access to that. So that's where I went to from there. And that,
Ah, it's
that was really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, it's like it's one thing to like conduct like a penetration test, like for an enterprise. It's a whole other thing to be laying in a swamp in like a ghillie suit with a laptop over it and like red lights and like trying to have effects on like a safe house.
Right. Yeah. And
Vastly
literally
different.
trying to capture Bluetooth signals and then
Yeah.
repeat those Bluetooth signals and do other things.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I'm trying to think how we can speak about this super vague. Uh I always love like all of us security people. It's like, how can I tell this story without telling this story?
Yeah.
Um, so the hardware that you're utilizing, primarily off the shelf things like
Oh yeah.
Ubertooth or
Yep.
stuff like that. Cool, cool. Then,
Everything I did. I was actually literally just recording a new course for SANS. And it came up, we were talking about Wi-Fi exploitation. And I was like, look, here's the deal. For like $75, I can do a whole lot of damage on a WPA2 network.
well, an obscene amount, especially if you're
Yeah.
close enough, right? Like,
Yeah, and even then, if I decide to fashion a high gain antenna or like some type of Yagi antenna,
yep.
I have had effects with a Wi-Fi signal from over a mile away. Granted,
Oh,
there was a
yeah.
lake in the middle,
I was
right?
about to say,
So it's
how were you bouncing?
exactly
You were
right.
bouncing
So
off of something.
it was a high
Yeah,
gain Yagi antenna with a large body of water between me and the building, right? But
amazing.
still, like that's a huge offset.
Oh yeah, no, it's nuts. I mean, you can create like a kind of ghetto high gain antenna with a
Yeah,
damn Pringles can, right?
exactly.
Like, and a lot of people don't realize like kind of how Wi-Fi signals are. Like, right, it's a dome, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't access that dome from a distance, right?
That's the biggest thing.
There, there's ways to kind of do that. One of my favorites is when I was teaching IoT security, and someone asked me, they're like, hey, I've got a question about Bluetooth security and kind of your digital door locks on your front door. And I said, okay, cool. And he asked the question. He's like, is that possible? I said, 100%. I said, but there is a device that any criminal can get, even if they have a criminal record, and it'll break into your house in, maybe 10, 15 seconds flat. And they're like, what? Yeah. And I said, it's called a boot. Because your standard attacker is not going to capture your Bluetooth signal that's unencrypted and then replay that to get into your house. They're just going to kick your damn door in. Um, you know, and I try to explain that sometimes the most complicated solution isn't the best. I think as
Yeah.
hackers, both you and I, like, and what you did was basically penetration testing in the highest order, where you were gaining access to really sensitive areas. And the best part about areas that really think they're super secure is how unsecure and how unsafe they are to somebody who knows how to do the things that we do, where you know how to, you're like, oh, okay, well, you haven't really protected your Wi-Fi because you don't think I can get within the perimeter range.
Yeah.
But what if I bounce a signal from a mile away off the damn ocean, then or off a lake? What then?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
that's really fascinating. And that's the same thing with like air gap systems. They're only as good as your physical access, but there's been some really cool attacks where they've been able to use drones to kind of do different things, and they can see when hardware is being written based on, it's like really cool stuff. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
all about that physical proximity and access, but don't ever assume that just because your perimeter is good from a physical standpoint that somebody can't do something. You really got to understand what the security looks like and also what your intrusion detection looks like.
Yep. No,
Like how many
absolutely.
times people do a wireless sweep and they're like, yep, everything looks good. I was like, how do you know? An attacker is not going to break in to your network and then just drop a device that says hacker exploitation. They're going to drop in, they're going to clone your AP. It's going to be the
Exactly.
exact same MAC address and name, and it's going to sit there. So I always
Exactly.
find wireless sweeps to be one of the funniest things that's required for PCI. I'm like, what? I guess it's going to catch those really low-hanging fruits, but like for the most part, a skilled attacker is just not going to do stuff
Yeah.
like that.
But yeah, and that was kind of my foray. And then I actually retired from the army.
Mhm.
Um, and where I was at, they're like, "Hey, we would love for you to come back as Mr. Green and author and teach this course called Brighton for SOCOM, which was singleton and duo operations. It was more defensive, they'll say digital force protection, but we
Yeah.
taught digital force protection through offense. So it was a
Oh,
6 week
cool.
course, kind of going from zero to hero. So like week one was all, hey, this is Linux. Week two was all virtualization, Raspberry Pis. Week three was Bluetooth. Week four was Wi-Fi. Week five was on-net exploitation. Week six was a colex. And we taught these people all these skills. So when they go to country X, right, they have the ability to one, know what their digital situational awareness is, right? If two Americans randomly show up in a foreign country and we do we call it a DTM or digital terrain map, and we know that these APs exist, and then the following week we do another DTM, and now there's 3 or 4 new access points that show up. Typically speaking, access points just don't magically pop up. Clients
Nope.
do, but access
Yep.
points really don't, right? So then you can start thinking in your mind, okay, do we have, counter surveillance on this, right? This is something we can start
Yeah.
thinking about. And that was the skill set that I was working then until Sands pulled me away and I created Sith 2. So many moving things all happening
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Well, I love the Sans courses. I wish they weren't so damn expensive, but I do the value that you get is tremendous, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
I always tell people they're like, should I take a Sans course? I was like, if your company is paying for it, yes. It doesn't even matter what the course is because they all have tremendous value. Because you learn so much and they're
Yeah.
taught by experts like you who've literally, like you said, been in the field and kind of seen the things that you've seen and can kind of talk the talk, right?
We'll drop a
I,
nugget
I
for
think
those
so.
folks, right? And it's not going to help
Yeah,
a lot, but you did say Sands, everybody, the whole world knows that Sands is expensive. There's literally
yeah,
zero
yeah.
fighting that argument. But for those that haven't heard, right, Sands does have what's called the work study program.
Yep.
So I usually plug that as much as I can. The work study program and all the different academies. Like every time I see it popped on LinkedIn or
Yeah.
Twitter or anything, I always encourage people, hey, look, shoot your shot, right? Don't just be like, oh, I'm not going to get picked for it. Like shoot that shot, like
No, for
if
sure.
there's
And the
a
other thing too is Sans does free courses before they actually start charging for a course that you can
yeah,
do too that I've seen. Um, all of that stuff is available, plus all the information they share, and they do a ton of other stuff for free. Like I have zero qualms with how Sans does things. I agree with their price. I think it's insane, but they're tailored for business, right?
yeah,
That's the goal, right? They're not looking to have an individual pay 7 to 10 grand. They're looking to have a business pay that, which is nothing for the value that you get.
yeah.
And honestly, qualification wise, I respect their certs more than anyone else.
Mhm.
Period. Um, because of the way they do them, because of the way they're taught, and because of how they actually continue to grow and become better with time.
Yeah.
Uh, that to me is, a very rare thing. There's a lot of cyber stuff, and I talk to people all the time who are like, "Well, I'm going to pay for this boot camp," and I was like, "Cool, but like, what's your reason for paying for it?"
Yeah.
Oh, well, they said I can get a six-figure job. And I was like, that's not going to happen.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
like, if somebody is promising you a six-figure job for taking a $500 course or a $2,000 course, it's not going to happen. And it's not because you're not talented. It's because there are more people looking for jobs than there are jobs right now. Period.
Yeah.
Um, so I always like, do your research. And, I've had many people like, well, oh, I got this boot camp done and now I'm looking for an opportunity. I was like, cool. No one cares what that boot camp did. Like, and that's the downside is the schools are kind of telling kids like, hey man, there's this huge gap in cyber and you can jump into cyber and make six figures. And I'm like, they're basing it off of a survey that's sent around every year that says, do you have enough people to support your environment?
Yeah.
And everyone says, no, I need more. And then they go, well, there's a shortage. It's like, well, no, we don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. So what was your first like gig in the public sector, like a SANS like instructor, or how did you pivot out of the military?
No, so like I said, post-military contractor for the DoD.
Okay.
And then I created Sith 2, which has went through a couple iterations,
Yeah.
um,
How
which has
did you
always been.
get, well, let's roll it back. Like, how did you even get to a point where you were given the opportunity to create it, or did you just decide to build it and then they came? Like, what happened there?
The latter, the latter.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
a little
cool.
bit of both, right?
Okay.
The skills that I had learned, right, doing the work that I was doing in the military and then creating the course. Um, I realized that small and medium businesses in my area don't have the luxury or the ability to do a lot of that work for themselves.
Right.
We know that SMBs, when they are hit, if it's pretty detrimental to them if they get hit, right? And I won't go into numbers because
Massively
the
so.
numbers change. Some results, some surveys say 76% of businesses go under if they get hit. Some say 80. Let's just say it's not good for them regardless.
Yeah. It's a bad
So I
day.
was, yeah, so I was like, how can I help, right? Because I would just drive around and I would see things like there was a law office who had their guest Wi-Fi was encrypted and their internal Wi-Fi, right, their actual Wi-Fi was open. It was not encrypted, right? It was no authentication. So it's things like that. It's like walking in and being like, "Hey, I'm Rich Greene. I just want you to know this." And then they're like, what were you doing with that? I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa,
I've
whoa.
been I've done the same thing where I've kind of helped people and then they get
Yeah.
real pissed off at me. I never asked you to look into this. Well, no, I get that, but I'm just trying to help.
Yeah. I'm like, first off, wireless enumeration is not illegal in this country, right?
Right,
I wasn't
100%.
actively interfering with anything. This is just
Yeah,
freely available for me to see.
right.
And if I can see it and I don't want to cause you harm, if somebody doesn't want to cause you harm, they can
Yeah.
also see this. Um,
I used to war drive and print out on people's printers how to secure their Wi-Fi. That was always my favorite thing. I would just print something out that said, hey, noticed your Wi-Fi was open. Decided to pop in for a moment. Saw your printer. Please, here's how you secure your Linksys S12 router or whatever.
oh, I
Hilarious.
love it. But that's what
So
it was.
so you
Yeah.
started doing that, and then you realized like, hey, I mean, there's some market value to this. And did you pitch it to Sands? Like, did you go to
No.
them and pitch it?
Nope.
Okay.
So Sands is still further down the road. So I
Yeah, yeah,
was I was a contractor and I was doing that, starting up my own LLC, running that here locally, and that was kind of keeping me abreast of emerging technologies and staying like
yeah.
ingrained in everything. Um, and then I was working as the contractor, and a buddy of mine, third party, a friend of his had reached out to him saying, "Hey, Sands is actually looking for a solutions engineer." Um, and
Nice.
I had loved SANS because I had taken SANS courses in the military
They're
and I
so
had
awesome.
self-funded two of
Yeah.
them. And then
Woof.
our mutual friend reached out to me and they're like, hey, I heard that SANS is hiring. And I was like, what the hell's a solutions engineer? I've never even heard of this term
Yeah.
before.
That was
Um,
like me when I applied for the IoT role for security. I was like, I don't even know what Internet of Things is. Like, let me research that.
so they sent this thing over. I looked at the job rec and I'm like, this seems like a salesy thing. And I was like, you know what? I'll at least talk to the hiring
Yeah.
manager person. So I reached out and I was like, look, I I've never sold like a product before in my life. Like I know what SANS is. I don't understand it from the sales apparatus, but like I told him, I was like, I have sold humans on ideas and dreams, right?
Right.
Right in my previous life, so I can definitely sell things. And they're like, we'll take a shot with you. And I was like, I guess I'll take a shot with you. So Sands originally
Love
pulled
it.
me in as a solutions engineer, senior solutions engineer, which is really just a fancy way of saying a technical SME, I guess. to help their sales team out with understanding the entire curriculum and portfolio that is the SANS apparatus. Um, and then in there, I had reached out. I didn't reach out to. I was talking to one of the curriculum individuals inside the organization, and they were talking about, well, they were asking who I was, what I want to do, and I told them it was. I said it off the cuff. I was like, I honestly wanted to be a SANS instructor because I had taken my first SANS course was Sec 575,
Hmm.
the not the worst class. I joined the wrong course, right? It was mobile pen testing. Um, I was well over my head. Within the first 3 hours of that class, I was like, I chose the wrong class.
You chose poorly.
I chose the wrong one here. But as you said earlier, the experience that I had in that
Yeah,
class with that instructor blew my mind. Like
yeah,
20 years in the Army, I was a professional instructor myself. Like I had never seen something that was like this. And I was like, I want to be that guy. Um,
yeah.
so I told this lady, Lisa Peterson, on that call, I was like, I want to be a SANS instructor. And she's like, really? And then we went into that, and then all the dots
That's
started being connected,
that.
and I became a SANS instructor, and then I became a SANS author, and now I'm just living my
Yeah,
best life, doing what I can for the world as a whole.
and I feel like your story is one that doesn't happen as much anymore because everyone is looking for the candidate who's like pre-cooked, right?
Yeah,
And they're already baked to perfection. They're like, you're everything I need and all the things I don't want, all in one package.
yeah,
And I feel like that's such a disservice to these kids who are trying to
yeah.
get into technology, and even some of the seniors who are trying to break in. Like, I talk to recruiters all the time where they're like, I'll give them the perfect candidate, but then the customer will be like, well, they're great and everything, but we're just gonna wait and see what's out there. It's like, why, dude? Like, it drives me absolutely nutty. Like, I opened up an entry level role, which most people don't do, that was truly entry level with no experience.
Mhm.
Um, and I realize why people don't do that because you get you get a lot of noise. Um, it makes sense now. I'll still do it. And I'll
Yeah,
just continue to do what I do, which is handpick the individuals who are going to be able to interview. But like, my goodness, 800 applications in the first day or two.
yeah,
Um, and then I talked to some of the other startups and some of the other companies that I work with, and their intern programs get 3,000 applications, and they're looking for that perfect candidate. Like investing in someone, I don't see happening anymore. Do you have any advice for anyone who's trying to kind of get into security? Like, what are some of the things that you think work and what doesn't?
Well, it's going to be weird for me to say it first, but I think it's the most important. Don't be a cert collect. Don't treat certifications like Pokemon. Um,
My man, the fact that a SANS instructor is just saying it like it is, right? Like exactly, you don't need to collect them all.
you don't need to collect them all, right? First things first, and again, it's not going to help, but you need to find out like what your passion is going to be. You need
Yeah.
passion. I tell people they're like, why do I need passion for this? Because like you just said, this is one of I think the most brutal job markets that exists right now. At least there could be others, but in my
Um,
opinion, it's probably one of the most brutal ones, right? Not even just because there's
100%.
so many people that need or want to get in, but
Yeah.
because these corporations have been laying off so many people, the
Yep.
market is just saturated with not
Yeah.
even entry level talent. We got some legit
Obscene talent.
rock
Yeah.
stars
Yeah. Yeah.
that
No, I
no
mean,
longer have a role now who are
no.
all in the same pool with you now, right? So you have
Yeah.
little to no experience compared to this person who has 15 years of experience.
I had at least 70 people apply for that role with that had 6 to 10 years of experience in cyber
It's
because
wild.
they want anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And if I was a less morals driven human being, I probably would have hired that senior person, knowing I'd lose them in a year or two, but knowing that the job market is so bad, I'd probably keep them around just long enough to be able to get
Yeah.
value out of them.
So that's the first thing, right? So first things first, like
Yeah.
you have to have passion because you're going to get told no a lot. You're going to get
Yeah.
ghosted a lot. And if you don't have the passion, you're going to feel defeated, right? You're going to feel defeated anyway. But
Yeah.
if you don't have passion to keep going, you're just going to like get defeated and then kind of trail off.
Yeah.
Whereas that if you have that passion, you're like, look, expectation management. I know this is going to be rough. I know I'm
Yep.
going to get told no 9 million times. I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
get ghosted even more times than somebody's going to tell me no. And I'm just
Yeah.
going to keep on shooting my shot, right? So have that passion. Find what you're passionate about, follow that thing. That goes down to the search as well, right? What I think helps a lot of people now, and it's one that we see, I'm not sure if it's super common. You can tell me because you probably have more experience in that field, is the whole people that look good on paper, but they don't have experience.
Oh
Um,
man, that is a really big problem
it
because
is still a big problem.
AI written resumes are so perfect, right? Everybody I look at their resume is like the best ever. I'm like, man, this guy's gonna crush it. And then I'm like, hey, tell me a little bit about your experience with vulnerability management or pen testing. And they're like, well, in the 90s. And I'm like, wait, hang on. I did this one thing and now I consider myself a pen tester.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's a serious problem. And the ability to do basic kind of troubleshooting is non-existent in younger
yeah,
kids. Like they don't because they're so used to going to YouTube for an answer or they're so used to going to ChatGPT for an answer. And I don't mind if you use tools. I'll even encourage it.
yeah.
Um, but what I worry about is how dependent you are on a tool that's designed to make you happy,
No, for sure.
right? Yeah, AI is there to kind of to enable you and make you feel good, not to like question you or challenge you and make you feel dumb, because you'll stop using it. But yeah, that's a big problem. So I mean, a good point, like you said, don't go collect certs to collect them. I always say if you're not passionate about what you're getting a cert in, don't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, period. And if your work's going to pay for it and they just want you to have it, do it. It doesn't, like if somebody's paying for it, like go for it. It doesn't even matter what it is. It's like it has value to some people, but that pocket of people is very, very, very small.
Absolutely.
Um, like
Absolutely.
there might be one dude who has like every sand cert, and I'm sure they exist. And that person might be really impressed that you have several sand certs,
Yeah.
but that person's probably not going to be a hiring manager.
Yeah. More than likely not.
More than likely not. Yeah.
More than likely not. One thing I advise those people that do reach out to me, they're like, I keep on getting told I don't have experience. I'm actually going to submit a talk for DEF CON this year that's comparing tattoo artistry to breaking into cybersecurity,
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
which is an interesting
What,
one, right? But for me, it kind of works the same way. I love
find a
tattoos.
mentor.
My head's
Yeah.
tattooed. Most of my body is tattooed. But when I walk into a tattoo shop, I don't just walk in, sit down, and say, "Hey, just let loose and just let the gun
Yeah.
do the magic." I say, "Hey, where's your portfolio? Let me see your
Yeah.
portfolio. Let me see the work you've done to make sure that your
Yeah.
work matches what I want on my body." So
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people that are starting to break in now, especially the ones that are very brand new, who aren't big about being very prolific. Look, you need a Medium account. You need a GitHub account, right?
Yep.
If you're wanting to work in the cloud, if you want a position or a role in the cloud, look, you need to be doing cloud projects. Put
One
them in
and
GitHub.
and
Build yourself.
talking about it
Yes.
and posting about it and engaging
you,
on it. It sucks, but
you have to.
yeah, and it sucks for people like our entire field attracts non-neuronormal people, all these
Yes,
people who are, neurospicy, and they're just like, I don't want to deal with other humans. It's like, well, that's unfortunate because this job is all about it now. You have
exactly.
to you have to build that social relationship with things. One of my favorite quotes that I kind of take with me is, if I told you that on your 101th no, you could get your dream job, would you stop? And if the answer is no, like if I knew that if I kept pushing and I could get my dream job, then I would keep doing it. So just assume that's going to happen,
Yeah,
right?
I like
And
that.
if you get in that mindset of thinking, hey, I'm 10 more no's away from that yes. Um, it's very empowering because you're like, okay, what did I learn?
Yeah.
What am I going for? We got 2 minutes left. What's kind of the one piece of what's like a saying or one piece of advice that has stuck with you that you want to share?
I'm trying to think of not, I want to use something that's super cliche.
I'm
Um,
okay with cliche, man. It's all
no, I
good.
don't want to be cliched. What is one piece of advice that stuck with me for forever? I can't even, I don't even know the whole thing, but I'm going to be honest with you, and as cliched as is, the quote from Rocky, right? From Rocky 6 is probably, right, the thing that I wish more people would really take to heart, right? The world is not a beautiful place. The world is going to knock you down. And again, it's not how hard you get hit, right? It's about getting back up, right? It's about getting back on your
100%.
feet. Um,
Yeah.
I think, and I'm not going to be like that person that like destroys generations, right? Talks bad or disparages different generations. But like I know like my daughters and below me, their generation, they're just not used to the brutal realization of how life actually is. Um,
Yeah.
I got it. I know what they would like it to be. I know what they see on movies and TV shows,
Right.
but like real life is going to punch you in the face.
Yep.
It's not going to be nice. It's not going to
No.
coddle you. And you're going to quickly find that out. And I don't want it to defeat you. I
Yep.
wish everybody the utmost in their journeys,
Yeah.
but you have to have that grit. And I know people say grit, grit, and you got to have grit,
No,
but like,
I always say you need to bend, but never break,
yeah.
right? Like your job is to take that hit, kind of bow back, come back up and go, all right, I guess we're doing this now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things that I think is really, really critical and it's very, very important in this career field is
Yeah.
you're gonna constantly be told no, and it very rarely is about you.
No, yeah,
It's that
exactly.
job was already taken. That job was already promised to somebody internal. My uncle's brother's nephew wanted a job. You literally like I've seen people lose a job because like hey you kept looking to the right or you kept doing XYZ and it was distracting, right? You just there's so many variables that you can't control, and 80% of the hiring managers literally have no idea how to interview.
Oh, 100%.
Like they have no
100%.
concept of interviewing. They've never done any interview basics. They've never studied what a good interview looks like. They've never done anything to prepare themselves to be a better interviewer. They're basically typing into ChatGPT, what question should I ask this dude? And then they pepper you with questions. And for a technical person who is neurospicy, that's the best way to get somebody to shut down. You're going to lose
Absolutely.
out on so much talent that way. But man, Rich, it has been awesome. I'm super excited to have you come hang out. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging with me. And I
Of
appreciate you,
course.
brother. I appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. And we need to plan some time. I'll be down in Orlando the first week of April.
Heck yeah, man. No, let me know, brother.
Absolutely. You have a good one, brother.